Hey, it's Jerry. I can't say enough about one of my favorite people, Orlando McGuire. We're going to introduce him. We're going to get there. Jerry Citarella presents. Today's a good one. You can't tune out because you're going to learn what this does. You're going to learn a lot of things. There's a lot of reasons to watch this show. Saved my life, changed my life, has a comeback story, has a beat all the odds story, changed an industry. Like, there's so much here. So here's the intro. Don't go away. Come back. You got to watch this one. Orlando, my friend.
Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Not everybody that's on the show is a friend. Not everybody that's on the show has helped me. Not everybody on the show has changed my life. And you've done all of those things and more. So first, I just want to say sincerely, not because we're on camera. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean that. And I seriously get a little teared up because of the change in my life and the change in other people's lives that you made. So this is an important one for me. And I want to share what you do and your story to people here so they can, one, be motivated by you, not blowing smoke up your butt, and be inspired by you, and also understand that healing is something that can be done for a lot of people who don't think they can be healed. And that may not have made a lot of sense, but I know you understand what I'm talking about.
Definitely.
Yeah. So Orlando McGuire, quantum regeneration.
Correct.
And these tools are scary and ugly and crazy, and we're going to get to these. But in your own words, in a short time, tell me what you do, and then we're going to back up and get back to it.
Okay. I usually, when I have someone new come in, obviously, the first thing I need to know is in their own words, which actually a lot of times is a lot more helpful than, let's say, if they brought me, imaging, or if they brought me the verbal description of what their diagnosis was from their general practitioner or whoever they went and saw. We do an enormous amount of actual body work. Now, you can use your hands all day long. You can use your elbows, things like this, and it does work. It does. But the amount of power or precise energy that you can produce is going to be really limited. I mean, most bodywork practitioners usually, at the end of the day, they're trash. So they're sacrificing their own health for the sake of helping others.
Now, when you say bodywork, I want to kind of get basic.
Yeah.
So bodywork, these tools, are you a chiropractor?
No.
No. Are you a massage therapist?
No.
No. You're a healer.
Correct.
So what do you heal? Give me a basic understanding of what you do. We'll get into the how later, but the basic understanding of what you do. I came in, my back was destroyed. Actually, when we met, I couldn't even come in.
Oh my
It was
God.
a fluke situation that I was introduced to you. I was on the ground pretty much for 2 or 3 days,
Literally.
unable to move. I had to crawl to the door to let you into my home. You helped me on the table. And after an hour, I got off the table and walked you out to your car, I think.
Yep.
And then came in 2 days later for another treatment, and I did jumping jacks just to show off. And you went, "Wait, don't ruin it."
I remember. Oh my God.
So how does that work? What do you, how do you describe what you do? You're not a chiropractor. Everybody understands that. You're not a massage therapist. You're not an acupuncturist.
Okay.
What's the best way to describe what you do in its simplest form?
I'll do my best.
Yeah.
So
I know it's hard.
One of the things that all those people have in common is they're actually more alike than they're different. A lot of what I do is rooted in the healing sciences and arts going back thousands of years. So I'm not really sure if I actually really invented anything new. I would have to say when I started my journey as a patient, and a lot of the people we're going to had hearts of gold and they did their absolute best, but I was only usually partially fixed,
Okay.
so to speak.
Or temporarily fixed.
Correct. Temporarily.
That's my experience.
Even if you have actual legitimate, like full-on healing, whether no matter what system it is, whether it's your nervous system, your skeletal, muscular, your endocrine, it doesn't matter. If it's still only partially, there could be too much of a percentage of it left damaged where it eventually will revert, and then you get frustrated, and that creates even more inflammation, literally. and it's just a formula for disaster. So I needed to figure out how to keep healing myself, and that's what I started doing. And then I started working on people in martial arts training and in gymnastics and things, because they were having the same problem. They get injured, they get their symptoms treated, and then they try to go back to their normal life, and then within a short amount of time they were worse, or back to where they were, back to square one. And it was just over and over and over, year after year. And I was stubborn in a good way. You can be stubborn and be very self-destructive, and you can be stubborn and
Your stubborn is like determination, stubborn. You're determined and stubborn. You're going to fix this problem.
Yeah, very much so.
Okay.
So I mean, anything I could get my hands on, a textbook, a person who would be okay with letting me pick their mind, even though it was probably quite annoying. Just because a lot of times I would ask the same question over and over because I didn't quite comprehend their answer, because it was either over my head or it was very vague, very ambiguous. So it wasn't really the detail I was looking for. You know, if you've got a cold and someone gives you something to suppress the sniffles and the coughing and things like that, they haven't given you anything to potentially, let's say, eradicate the virus out of your system or something.
Treating
Once
the
again,
symptoms,
yeah,
putting Band-Aids, but not fixing the problem.
correct.
Gotcha.
Like let's say year after year you slouch. This is a big ticket item. Almost everybody coming in, their spine is compressed.
Yeah, tech neck.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, before tech neck, it was manual labor in the trades. It was reading a book. You know, so it's not really anything new.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. People,
It's just everybody now.
it always was.
Okay.
It always was. Yeah, I mean, I've been working on people since before cell phones, since before tablets, since before most of your modern devices, and it was still the same issues.
Okay.
Okay. Now everybody knows you're supposed to sit up straight. Everybody knows you're supposed to stand up straight, but doesn't really go much beyond there.
I'm doing it because you're here.
That's true.
I know I'll get a lecture later if my posture's not right.
I'm kind of notorious for it, but I don't go around hounding people in the streets. Yeah. So whenever you slouch, okay, the muscles that are supposed to be actually holding and supporting up your entire skeletal structure, not just necessarily the spine, unflex, deactivate, turn off, however you want to say it. So where does their work go? It goes into the joints. So now gravity's slowly crushing, but now you've actually sped it up. When you sit up straight or stand up straight, if those muscles have been unflexing for too long, they're going to be a little bit atrophied. They're going to be weak. So you're not going to be able to do it that long. Usually, even on really high level athletes, within a few minutes after trying to sit up straight or stand up straight, they're like, oh my God. And their first answer is, I'm weak. Well, what if you're not? They're not weak. Right. These are amateur athletes that are competing at the highest levels and even pros. So what is the next issue? The soft tissue and the joints are both so saturated in inflammatory proteins, inflammation, and they're not able to flush out enough to finally recover to where, like when you were much younger or pre-injury, you feel fine. Like you wake up without a care in the world,
So your body kind of adapts to that position, and then it starts to...
Well, it's almost always about the mind. Not always, but pretty close.
Okay.
Imagine if someone took you when you were a child and they're like, I'm going to teach you how to slouch. You'd probably be like, yeah, I don't need to learn that. Right. Or as a little child, you'd probably be like, okay. Yeah. Especially if it was someone you really loved, know, your mom, your dad, your grandpa, your grandma. Well, most of us, we're herd species, so we do like to blend into the herd to a certain extent. So we copy body language. Slouching is body language. Good posture is body language. Okay, it's no different than cringing, smiling, things like this. So when someone comes in, if they have been running that program for a really long time, we have to flush out all the soft tissue related to the spine and the pelvis. And the tools produce so much power or precision that it can...
They're a little scary, but I know they work.
This is true. Now, even if it offends people, most people who do any kind of instrument-assisted soft tissue mobilization or gua sha or muscle scraping, they use way too much force. Like the friction and the pressure starts creating a huge burning sensation. They're just told that's normal. And if someone is passing one of the tools over a bony protrusion, they don't even back off on that, which is way, way, way more sensitive than if you're on a thicker part where there's more muscle and things like that. And I mean, I've had people shake about the idea of getting scraped again because they had such a traumatic experience. Right. Then when I explained to them one of the things that we would do is we develop a communication. The person receiving the treatment actually dictates all the pressure.
You get a safe word.
Yes, safe word is stop. Doesn't and I always tell everybody, don't take the time to explain why. Just say stop. As we move from 1 inch of skin over to another, all of a sudden the feeling can be drastically different.
Right.
And
I've experienced that where it's all good and then you hit a spot.
oh yeah.
And I normally just don't say stop. I just say keep going. I'll get through it.
Which isn't necessary though.
I know.
I mean, I've worked on very
Yeah.
tiny little gymnasts who are actually competitive, believe it or not, even as young as 4 or 5.
Right.
And they sprain their ankle, they fall on the beam, things like this, on the pommel horse, stuff like that. So they don't have the same level of communication because they just haven't been alive long enough. So these simple explanations actually are a big ticket item to getting someone to heal. So that's how this roundabout explanation, because it always has to begin with a rapport, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to someone, you don't have any idea what they're doing, you don't have any idea of their background, their intentions, okay, whether or not they even love being a healer. There's a lot of people who went into the healing sciences and arts and they really shouldn't be. But I can talk about it 24/7.
It's another show, yeah.
This indeed. Now, we put a little ultrasound gel usually on the bare skin, and then we take the tools, and again, we slowly start scraping the area. Now, what's really interesting is happened by accident. Fascia is an extremely important connective tissue internally. Now, it doesn't show on any imaging. It doesn't show on CT scans, X-rays, MRIs, nothing like that. Apparently, all that just goes right through it. I think I had a doctor tell me one time when he was in medical school, when they were dissecting cadavers, they were told to cut it out of the way and throw it in the trash can. That's how insignificant it was considered.
Wow.
Yeah. And there might be some people out there who say otherwise, but teach their own. Now, the tools will find the fascia scarred up, over thickened, things like this. As the tools are gliding along, they'll hit them like speed bumps.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
sorry.
go ahead.
I'm smiling and laughing because I've been through this.
Yes, you have.
And for those of you watching, you get so excited when that happens. So
I do.
I'll just you're doing my scraping and I can't see you because I'm face down.
Yep.
And then I just hear you go, oh, and then you
It's
typically
true.
say, oh, the tool found something. And then your next thing is let's scrape out the evil.
Yep, crushing out the evil.
Crushing out the evil. So I've experienced it
Huh?
where you're doing it.
Mhm.
And then at about the time you feel it, I feel it. And then you get excited. And I love that part because you're excited because you've now found the problem or one of them.
Mhm.
And now you know where to focus and where to fix it. But that's because of the tools and especially the tools you've made, which we'll get back into.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 So as we're using the tools to scrape over those knots, it can actually be scar tissue from a surgery that anyone can see.
Yep.
I've got one myself right here, which I have broken down to a considerable amount, probably half the size it was after surgery.
You broke down the surgery that I had for my cancer surgery, and
I'll say.
my scar is probably half the size it was, which is probably
And it
consistent
actually
with yours.
still keeps shrinking.
Yeah.
So
And that was great
Mhm.
because you're telling me you have this fascia, you have this stuff, you have all this stuff inside, and you're fixing whatever.
Mhm.
You can't see it.
No.
So to be able to have this visual representation on the external
True.
of what you're doing on the internal, it really made it a lot easier for me to understand because I'm watching this scar tissue go away as you break it down. I'm like, oh, just flip it over. That's on the inside. And when that breaks down, it releases stuff and gives me space. And so it was really kind of cool to have that
Mhm.
and be able to see it and understand a little better how it's working internally.
Well,
So hopefully that helps explain kind of, it's just
I think
scar
so.
tissue on the inside, right?
Sort of. Yeah, inside and outside, it's always going to be just a blend. I mean, let's say this hand represents healthy tissue. Let's say this fist represents a big lump of scarring. Well, they're going to actually intertwine and blend. There's no way they're not, because that's the origins of what that area used to be. It used to be healthy tissue, everything separated in layers. Now, through blunt force trauma, lacerations, cuts, bumps, however you want to verbalize it, that trauma destabilized that area and caused an injury. So how does the body deal with it? It sends undesignated cells to that area that have no specific programming. When they get there and they find whatever is damaged or whatever, they'll attach to it, become it to try to stabilize, to try to get it to function better and things. Now, it's supposed to be a short-term solution, but usually once it happens, it sticks around, unfortunately, way too long. Well, that area is no longer going to allow for just basic circulation. That's it. So getting any inflammation out of the area is going to be more difficult. Getting any resources into that area is going to be more difficult. Well, those elastin proteins are tough. I mean, they're resilient. I mean, you want to imagine it's like really tough rubber or chewing gum or something you can beat all day long with a hammer, and it just keeps going right back to its shape afterwards. Well, the pounds per square inch of pressure that the tools produce literally crushes it down slightly to a gelatinous state. The body will absorb the excess, expel it, and then replace it with healthier tissue. The layers start to separate, which means basic circulation with either blood flow or lymphatic flow. Okay, lymphatic fluid, it's like 90%, I think, of your body's water. The other 10% is the blood. Starts happening. So now your cells are finally be able to bring in all the resources and also take out all the garbage. So that goes up big time. Now, the number one thing it does, reestablishes connection between the brain and the body, the neurology. It's almost always about the mind.
So you're saying that our body is designed to work efficiently.
To an extreme.
We do our best to break it intentionally, unintentionally, accidentally.
True.
And this just basically puts the body back in a place where it can do what it's supposed to do. It releases those things. It releases the friction between neighbors, puts the fence back between them, and allows them to cohabitate together in the way they're supposed to.
Well, the neurology responds to friction and pressure to an extreme. I mean, that's what the body's built for, come in contact with, the physical world. So let's say behind you, posterior, you don't have eyes in the back of your head. So when I'm working on some of the tools, this is true. Yeah.
I've seen her with the kids. Hey,
I think it's a female trait. Yeah, they have eyes in the back of their head for
lots of reasons.
Protecting the little ones and making sure we're not up to shenanigans. Whenever you have physical contact back here, then for sure now your nervous system is on high alert. Now it doesn't necessarily on high alert because it senses danger, it just senses contact. So it's going to be really, really, really focused on there. Like some people will get hurt and then they put a piece of kinesiology tape on there. Well, all that tape's doing is binding with the millions of tiny hairs that you can't see on the skin. So whenever you move, the tape pulls back a little and the nervous system is stimulated to pay attention. Okay. So it's like, we have to get all that inflammation out of there. So let's go ahead and start cleaning house. And then now we got to send all these resources in, vitamins, nutrients, minerals, proteins, anything needs to rebuild the area or just get it to recover. The tools are doing that on a level I'm not even sure. So one session, a lot of times what I do is equivalent to hundreds of sessions of like a lot of what would be considered more normal. And it's not saying that it's better, but the proof is in the results. Most of the feedback from my clientele.
I know you well enough to know you will never guarantee it works. You'll never say it's better. Let me just say it for you. Okay, it works. It's better.
Yes, it's all hypothetical. It's all for entertainment purposes.
And when I love that because if you were advertising, you're never going to do an ad that says, "Hey, I can fix you." You're going to explain why it works. You understand the science and go through it. And I appreciate that because you're very, very humble. And I know your promises are way less than your results, probably in many, if not all the cases.
Under promise over deliver.
And even now, so I appreciate that. So I want to, I can go on for hours with you and all this stuff, but so I want to talk about traditionally what people do and why I'm such a believer, which I know you'll support. And then I want to get a little bit into your history.
Sure.
And really how you got here and got to the point, just some other stuff, because this is all wonderful, but it's also good to hear a story of someone that basically had everything going against him or a lot of things and then made it. And you're a martial arts expert, you're a gymnastics instructor, you're an actor, you're a stuntman, you make these tools yourself, you're selling them now, there's a whole bunch of stuff you do. You make traditional Native American flutes and play them, and you're a nerd.
This is true.
You're a sci-fi nerd. You got a lot of
comic books are my my refuge.
You got a lot of cool stuff. So basically, traditionally, in this country especially, we're not going to bash any industry, but there's some concerns about Western medicine and some things I have, you understand. Oh, I got to hurt my back. I got to pinched nerve, I got a sciatic, I got this. You go to the doctor, they give you some muscle relaxers, they tell you to sit down and relax. And then what happens? I'm going to say it the way I think I understand it. It starts to do exactly what you're saying. It forms that attachment, it creates that thing, your body's messed up, and maybe the muscle relaxers make you feel a little better to get you symptomatically better, but the problem's not gone. And that's what I experienced. I broke my back when I was 21, had a lot of injuries, and I spent 25 years of my life with what we classified and called, and I had embedded in my brain chronic back injury. So I was a chronic back injury sufferer, and I was all in on that. So I know psychologically I wasn't helping myself. And I know medicinally that muscle relaxers and all that stuff was making me feel better temporarily. And I did chiropractic, I did massage, and I always got a little bit of relief. But this system and what you do and the way you do it didn't give me relief. It fixed me.
Okay. I'm happy to
me.
help.
And I had spasms, as you know, 3, 5, 6 times a year, where I would either be on the ground or close to it. I was shaped like an S, and I was unable to work and unable to function for those days. And that was just part of my life. My wife would go, "Oh, how bad's this one?" I'd go, "It's a 2 to 3 dayer. It's a 3 to 5 dayer." Since I met you, and this was consistent for 20 plus years, 25 years, that would happen every single year, some worse than others. Since I met you, and you know this, but I'm just going to say it. Since I met you, I have not had a spasm once now in over 2 years. So,
makes me happy.
Is it coincidence?
I don't think so.
Okay. So let's go back. You didn't have an easy start, and a lot of your childhood is part of this.
Huge part of it.
Yeah. So tell me quickly, because we're getting over time here, and this is social media.
Not a problem.
8 seconds is too much for people to watch.
This is true.
20 minutes is forever. If we go past an hour, we're going to go forever. So fast forward through your situation. I'm just going to shut up and tell me your story as quickly as you can.
I'm a product of my environment, so I will flat out say it. Now, I was too young to remember, but I do trust my mother, and she told me what happened. I was very physically damaged, pretty much you could say partially paralyzed as a child. My brothers would call me cripple legs. It was kind of a nickname. They weren't really trying to be mean. It just happened to be true.
It just seemed very obvious.
Yeah. So, my biological father had anger management issues. So I woke him up in the middle of the night at 10 months old, and I wasn't in a crib. I was just in a bed, but I was able to crawl out. So he woke up, found me. And when my mother asked him, just let me come to him, I can quiet him down. He picked me up and crushed me through a wall. So I was 10 months old. So as you can imagine, I probably didn't endure it that well.
Yeah.
And the physical abuse went on for years. So trying to recover even from that one event, it was actually multiple. And finally, one day in the middle of the night, my mother packed us up, and we left to a different city, thank God. And then after that, shortly after, she started taking me to anyone she thought might be able to help. And honestly, a lot of angels. Oh my God, chiros, other healers of every type, every walk of life. My grandfather actually my grandfather had an influence on me as well. He was always kind of working on people and things like this. I think he was a little bit of a shaman deep down inside. Okay. So the backstory, once I started going to get help, I was in little rooms called treatment rooms. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know anything else. I didn't even know to ask if there was anything wrong with me. I was so young. I just knew that when it came to running, jumping, things like this.
Your legs didn't work as well as others.
Well, I could run a few steps. I could walk a few steps, but my legs would always just collapse underneath me. I didn't know why. Mm-hmm. I didn't know. I'd never known anything else.
Yeah.
So, product of my environment. You take a very young mind, very blank slate, so to speak. You put it in any environment. For example, you're in finance. I guarantee you, if you actually had little ones hear all the time, and all they keep hearing is the discussion of finance and everything like that. When they grow up, there's a chance they may go into a career like that, or they will at least have a much higher understanding of it.
My daughter is going to be working for me starting in May of this year when she graduates college. Awesome. She had her first account open when she was 3 weeks old. She's a product of her environment. My other daughter, yeah. So I get that. We all are. Yeah, 100%.
Well, my daughter's 2, and even before 2, she's actually picked up the tools before, walked over to her grandmother and started working on her legs instinctively. So again. Then I recovered a certain amount, but never fully. But I wanted to be fully functional. I was tired of just getting by. I was sick and tired of just being a nearly guy, mm-hmm. nearly man. And I never stopped questioning. I never stopped experimenting. Some of the stuff was not a good idea, but you don't know until you try. And then some of it I would get results. I'm like, wait a minute, there's something to that. Well, I started seeing tools being used actually even as a kid. Um, they were made out of like stone or bone, or like some people would use a spoon and things like this. I mean, the methods have been around forever, and the results were pretty awesome. Then I started really going down the rabbit hole when I started being able to actually like Google gua sha, Graston, instrument-assisted soft tissue mobilization, whatever you want to call it. And then, you'd get bits and pieces because it was, I could be wrong on this, but I don't think I am. A dear friend of mine, he's a Chinese gymnastics coach. When he came over here, he told me that when a lot of the Chinese coaches were defecting and coming here, they started doing gua sha on the American athletes. But it can produce a lot of superficial bruising and retting and discoloration, and the Americans freaked, thought they were abusing the athletes when in actuality they were helping them. So they just backed off and only did it amongst themselves. And then I think a lot of a lot of Eastern methods, I think a lot of Westerners were trying to actually prove that they were hogwash or not, or maybe more of a placebo. So they started actually, researching them, experimenting. They'd try it and then see how the biology responded. And they're like, wait a minute, this works.
Oops.
Yep. It's kind of like when they were trying to prove that Wim Hof was a fluke, and then started experimenting, and testing him and things, and they started finding out that there was actually really amazing things happening that could be duplicated. Yeah. Same thing with Dr. Joe Dispenza's methods, and the list goes on and on and on. Just wonderful people. A little bit of all of their methods, of every self-help book you can imagine, things like that, all actually led to the development of these tools, even to the development of the psychology of what was required for me to heal myself, and then take that experience and actually help others with it. Like, I knew how to work on your back so easy because I had to fix mine.
Yeah.
I knew how to help reposition your pelvic position so easily because mine was off so bad. And the list goes on and on and on. So there's, sometimes people are like, well, what do you know? What do you know?
You know a lot.
And then also the story continues.
Yeah.
Okay. 2018, I got hit by a Penske truck from behind waiting on Ventura Boulevard. It was pretty hard hit. I was at a dead stop waiting to turn. And the driver, he didn't do it intentionally, obviously, but I woke up the next day and something was really off. Like, it was pretty bad. So some diagnostics later, come to find out my back is severely broken.
Okay.
I had every spinal injury a human being could have, except my spinal cord was intact. But I had broken vertebrae. The disc between L3 and L4 was gone. There was no trace of it. I had herniated disc, compressed disc. I had fractured facet joints. My spinal canal was narrowed by 80%. It's called stenosis. I had spondylolisthesis. I mean, literally everything.
You have words that most people can't say.
And so now here I was, second time around. I had to figure out how to get the lower half of me fully functional again. I think people really need to ask themselves how much they keep approaching their own health from a black and white perspective. Most of us were honestly heavily programmed to think and feel in black and white, all or nothing. This leads to rash judgment and decisions. Sometimes it's gonna take a little longer than one session or one session to just be like diagnosed, to really kind of start solving the puzzle that is you,
right?
To really come up with a solution that's going to work. Well, if you're expecting it to just 180 like this, first off, your subconscious is probably not even going to believe it. And you're also going to jump ship and go find something else. The grass is greener on the other side constantly.
Yeah. And we live in this world of immediate satisfaction. And if we don't get it, we're going to try something else. And yeah, there's a difference between being a healer and being a miracle worker.
True. But like, even for example, I always tell people to stop bashing Western medicine.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the amount of comments I hear about Western medicine, doctors, surgeries, medications, things like that. They save a lot of people.
They all have their place.
And they all have their place. If it wasn't for a brilliant surgeon.
So here's the issue I have with Western medicine.
What is it?
Is I will sit here and say, and I'm a cancer survivor.
Okay.
Western medicine has its place.
Yes.
Many people in Western medicine will say what you do in chiropractic and all those other things don't have a place. So I think this side is more open-minded and the other side is closed-minded, where you don't have the proper testing and clinical trials and all this stuff that would say this is a viable solution to the problem.
Mhm.
You know, and whether it's just mindset, programming, profit and loss, that's a whole nother thing.
Mhm.
But I think the issue that I have again is, you know, going through this stuff and I say, is there anything else? Is there ever anything I can do naturally? And they'll go, nope, none of that stuff works.
Black and white thinking.
Black and white thinking. So yeah, I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but I know what you're saying. So yeah, back to you learned from you got hit by a truck, you got beat up, you got yourself through it,
Rebuild.
and then that helped you develop some of these tools and things. So I kind of want to get into these, and I
Okay.
get the psychology of it all. And again, we can go on for 2 hours here.
Of course.
So your experience being a gymnastics coach,
Mhm.
especially for little ones, you saw a lot of injuries. Martial arts, obviously, a
Mhm.
lot of injuries. You're grappling a lot, your stuff.
Mhm.
You're also heavily involved in the fitness industry, and your studio is actually your healing, whatever it is, your office is
Yes.
in a gym where there's a lot of big dudes,
Yes,
a lot
there
of
is.
competitive bodybuilders, a lot of high level athletes. So you've seen a lot of really high level injuries in people that, like myself, probably had stuff that was around forever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So get into the tools for a minute. And because I don't think anybody watching this has ever seen any of these tools, I know I've done something similar to what you do before,
Mhm.
and it was a tool that's probably, you know, half the size, if you will,
Mhm.
and it felt good. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, and it was a high level guy. I won't go into his whole story. He is, if I told you who he was and his connections, and he's a high level healer.
Mhm.
He works for professional athletes. He works on a professional team, and did wonders similar to what you do, but
Mhm.
just your level that you take it and the tools that you've made and the tools that you can share with other people and sell. Let's not make sure we are just make the difference. So kind of I mean, these look the same, but they're different. Let's go through them a little bit real quickly.
Okay.
Tell me why this is better than what most people that do what you do use.
Well, okay. Let's say you
And
take.
you make all of these in your garage.
It did. I actually have a workshop now. Thank God. Believe it or not, it started even more rudimentary than that. I was on my balcony in my apartment
geez.
complex, just using hand tools
this
mostly.
is the epitome of DIY.
Yeah. Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. Really simple. Okay. Let's say you get a wooden crate, okay, delivered to your house and there's something in it. You got to get that crate open.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, you can take a little tiny pry bar, put it in there, and you're going to try to pry it open. Now let's say you take a nice long pry bar, you put it in there and you barely push down.
Leverage.
The further you go out, the more power you're going to get in return. These function the same way. When I'm standing above somebody, because I'm holding the tool with two hands, okay, the amount of control and leverage I get is unmatched. There's no way. Now, I do make smaller tools. Sometimes the level of precision that I need is so precise. You don't need a lot of power.
Yeah, because you've worked on pieces of my elbow. You've worked on my eyes, my nose, right up under here where you're using those little bitty tools. So it's not all about force. It's also about precision.
Well, I mean, even these will allow me, like I could work on a pinky finger that was jammed with a lot of the edges on this tool.
Right, and this one's sharper than that one, even though they
Yeah.
look the same. So there's even precision, different levels of that precision and stuff.
Technically speaking, a person could run an entire bodywork business just off one of these. There's trigger point, which can also be used for scraping. Now, these also have one cool, incredibly huge advantage. Okay, and I'm pretty sure all you bodywork people out there can vouch for this.
Self-help.
When you're working on other people, you're exerting a lot of energy. Okay, these tools allow you to self-scrape or trigger point, combination of both. There's no part of the backside of yourself that you can't reach with an unbelievable amount of leverage for power or control. So there are really good tools out there that are made of plastic and things, and they're beautiful design and stuff, but they fall short of precision and a lot of times power. Metal's always going to outperform plastic. It's just all there is to it. Most of these are actually light enough.
They are very light. They look heavy, but realistically, I mean.
Oh yeah, just very high quality aluminum. I have fabricated some out of titanium and some out of, like, this one's actually 404 stainless. Incredibly durable, incredibly strong. I do custom orders, and some clients didn't want the light aluminum. They wanted heavy copper or stainless steel. So we pretty much cater to the individual. This is more of a system of how tools can be.
And when you say cater to the
made.
individual, now you're talking about other healers that
Correct.
buy these from you.
Well, believe it or not, I have probably half the orders are from athletes, amateur and pro, who want a tool of their own they can travel with, because I mean they can't take me with them.
Like I was doing in my office while we were chatting earlier.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the versatility, but it's always going to be about leverage. These were modeled after carpentry tools and martial arts weapons. That's where the origins of the imagined idea in my head came from. I would work on 2 or 3 people in a day, and I was done. Even with tools, I just had a lot of the common tools you could buy, and it was my hands more than anything. My hands were just fried. So I first invented one really similar to this one. It's not the absolute original, and I did make it a little longer. It was a lot more ergonomic and things like that. And I was able to all of a sudden step it up. I could go harder or more precise, or combination, or just all over the place, back and forth, depending on the body part. Like sometimes you do need to go over, let's say, a bony protrusion. You can't go with that much force, so you need a lot of precision. Yeah. But the tissue over the bone can be damaged, so you need to help it heal. Then you go for the thicker, meatier parts. You need a more power. Okay, some female athletes and male athletes, they're so mentally tough. They can endure enough pressure and force that it would send someone running for the hills, and they're like, no, it just feels really good, and they literally fall asleep on the table. It's kind of almost hilarious.
Been there.
Yeah. Yes, you have.
Yeah, and I'll say, as you're doing that, you go like this, and someone watching might go, what the heck's that going to do? I said to you, I have tennis elbow or golfer's elbow, pickleball elbow, whatever it was, and 2 sessions, gone.
Yep.
I have a shoulder injury you've gone. Almost gone. I don't want to make it sound. I will not exaggerate. Almost gone. Okay. Now I'm working with some peptides to fix the end of that, which I know you help me understand that world a little bit more, which is all encompassing wellness. But these tools and the different things. I mean, I've come in with little issues, and after my surgery, having rectal surgery, TMI, but things are different in your body when your intestines are on the outside with a bag for 3.5, 4 months. So even just the stuff you've done has helped my system internally. So not just the muscles, but just everything being aligned, less inflammation. It's an overall feeling of wellness that I wasn't expecting after I came to you and said, get me off the ground and fix my back.
Yep.
And I can't speak highly enough about it. So I want to summarize something here.
Sure.
These tools have 2 purposes.
Correct.
One, to allow you to do the best job possible for the people you treat. And I know, you'll
expending the least amount of energy.
I was gonna say, I know you'll put this under your arm sometimes and use leverage.
Yeah.
So it allows you, one, to be more effective, more efficient, and part 2 allows you to do it longer, maybe a longer career because you're not beating yourself up, and also allows other people in your industry, in your practice, to benefit from these as well. And that's why now you've taken them to market and you're making them either production or custom for other people to do what you do.
Correct.
So you don't want to be the only guy that has them.
No.
You're fine letting other people do the job because you just want people to get well.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, it really is, actually, as hokey as it sounds, it is about just helping a lot of people finally get the answers and that they've been looking for. Answers mean, again, pretty comes down to one simple thing. I didn't want to hurt anymore. I couldn't run around and play with the rest of the kids, and I couldn't things like that, but I was actually in a constant state of pain. And that's usually what it seems to be with almost anyone that walks into my office, is they're just like, I'm tired of hurting.
Yeah.
I can't live this way.
I was tired of hurting. I was tired of missing work. I was tired of everything about it. And now I don't have to worry about it anymore. So I come back for maintenance now. So I would say, if you're looking at this and you look at these tools and go, oh my God, I don't know, this guy's a quack. I've been to chiropractors. Trust me. I'm going to look at every camera here. Trust me. It's different. I'm not going to call you a miracle worker, but you did a miracle on me.
you.
You did a miraculous job. Let's put it that way. Okay. I think you have to come in with an open mind, and then you need to get to the level of trust. And then you need to get a little bit of patience and understanding. And then if you can do all that and just accept that this is something maybe you're not used to, maybe it's a little different, maybe you don't fully understand it, but it works. I think it can be life-changing for a lot of people, and I've talked to a lot of people you've worked with. My basic understanding is my body was beat up and all of my stuff got intertwined and it was pulling my spine different ways. And
your whole skeletal structure.
And the other people that I went to, fixed it a little bit, get a massage, feels better, get a chiropractor. What you did is you, again, in the simplest terms, is you just let it release, let everything go back where it wants. And I would get things once in a while cracking, but you weren't doing any chiropractic on me. It was just my body self-adjusting. And then what was interesting is it would stay because it was done. And I'm going to share some of the videos of you working on me and some of the redness in my back and stuff. And just know that while this all looks painful, again, it's not, I don't want to say it's not painful. There's moments where but it's not horrible.
So this is the speech that everybody gets when it comes to pain.
And we have our safe word.
Okay. So everybody,
we're going to end it on this.
Yes. When you come in, I tell you, you dictate everything that happens. 1 is the least amount of pain or pressure. 10 is the most. You say where you want it. And the minute something feels too uncomfortable, you just say stop. You're the only one feeling what you're feeling. Okay. Sometimes if an area is too injured, you can work around it and actually have a profound effect on it. But most of the time, I actually have to almost pull that out of people because we have all been programmed so much to just
no pain, no gain,
or go in those rooms and shut up and defer to the person who's supposed to have they're the expert.
Right.
Whether they think they're the expert because they've got a degree hanging on the wall, which actually is true. Or maybe it's just because they've been in that environment and been doing it for so long, which in a lot of times actually produces a better outcome. Because a lot of learning obviously happens after you get out of school. Yeah. So it happens while you're in there, but it also happens when you get out. Right. So it shouldn't be uncomfortable. If it's uncomfortable, it will produce mental backlash. It will produce a catabolic hormonal spike. So you become even more acidic if you're mentally traumatized. If you leave a session and you feel safe, you will have an anabolic hormonal expression. Okay. And there's also a really wonderful thing. There's a delayed effect. Usually, not all the time, but usually, I get text messages and calls the following day going, how do I feel even better today? And it has a lot to do with that communication of dictating pressure. So it doesn't hurt. Again, when one of my partners, business partners works on me, it scares him how much force he can use on me. But to me, it feels like the best massage in the universe. Yeah. And he gets nervous. He's like, are you sure you feel fine? I'm like, bro, this feels amazing.
Yeah. And I agree. Yeah. Sometimes you'll tell me, man, I'm about to go through you. I'm like, just go. And you start to fall asleep. So, all right, Orlando, listen, I hate to do it. We got to end this. Yeah, we have to end it eventually, but maybe we'll do a part 2. So the tools are very unique. Mm-hmm. I know you said there's some things that are similar, but they're very unique. So whether somebody wants to use you personally, and you're based out of Woodland Hills, California.
Correct.
Or if somebody in your business is interested in maybe learning more about these, and these aren't all your tools. I know you brought what you could fit in the bag you brought. And I know you're always creating new ones as you develop things. And I know your passion for it. And one thing I appreciate that when you're working on me, and I know others, my wife goes to you, my daughter goes to you. My dad was going to go for his second surgery. And again, this isn't a promise. 2 sessions, he avoided surgery. I know how you explain while it's happening. So I know as you're talking about the mind-body connection, you're not just going, shut up and let me do my job. I understand what you're doing, why you're doing it. When you find things, you explain to me what's happening. And it really is a different experience than a lot of quote unquote healers. So I appreciate that. So if you're thinking of getting better finally, if you're a healer that needs a better tool, potentially, you be the judge after you talk to Orlando, how do people reach you?
They can just call me and text me. For fastest response, usually text is going to be the best.
Okay. And what's the
number?
Then
we can set up 818-518-5602.
Okay. And we'll put that up. So it's Quantum Regeneration.
Correct.
And Orlando
McGuire.
McGuire.
I'm Native American and Irish.
And I wasn't going to say your last name. I was going to say Orlando, and I was going to pause for effect, tell you how much I appreciate you. But Native American, Irish. And I know we've had a lot of deep conversations about stuff, and just know, people, there's no BS here. This man really cares for you, wants to heal you, means well, and is always looking for new opportunities to do good, and has helped me in many ways. So again, Orlando, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do, and I hope at least one person from this gets better because they saw this. So thank you for spending your time.
So do I.
And I'm going to buy you lunch, and I'm going to lay down and eat a salad while you work on me.
Not a
So
problem.
we're out of here. Thanks for watching.
Thanks,
I hope
people.
you were inspired, enlightened, and educated. Orlando McGuire, Quantum Regeneration, and let's do it.